action. We want to have the discussion today around the big table we call the Z Round Table. The tourism resources in Ghana are immense and diverse. The country has natural, historical, cultural, and other man-made attractions. Its central location, I must say, on the world map makes it accessible, and it's a country that is politically and economically stable. Today on the World Tourism Day, we're talking about transforming Ghana via tourism, the role of public and private partnerships. And to help us do that, we have around the big round table today Mr. Seth Yeboah-Ocran, who is a CEO of Yorks Investment Limited and a former president, Car Rentals Association of Ghana, and Mr. Emmanuel Trick, who is the CEO, the convener of Inter Tourism Expo. And also joining us is Professor Gabriel Eshon. He is a tourism and hospitality expert. So today we start a conversation. World Tourism Day. The theme is tourism and peace. Good morning and welcome to our studios, Mr. Seth Yeboah-Ocran.
Good morning, good morning. It's a pleasure being here. And let me say good morning to your viewers and listeners as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So we will come to the main discussion, which is transforming Ghana via tourism, the role of public and private partnership. But let's start with this year's World Tourism Day. The theme is tourism and peace. Why?
Yeah, I think it's a great theme for this year. If you look at tourism, what is tourism? For me, is people moving from one end to another.
Okay.
And either family reunion, either funeral, either cultural, historic, eco, and all that. So without peace, movement become difficult, you know. So, and I can say Ghana, it's not that we are blessed. Sometimes I hear people say we are blessed, we have peace. But I think we are doing something right.
Okay.
Ghana is very peaceful. We coexist with ourselves. So I think it's the right thing for tourism.
Okay.
Yeah, to thrive.
Interesting. Professor Gabriel Eshon is also with us. Prof, good morning. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Gary.
It's a pleasure to have you on air this morning. The theme for this year's World Tourism Day, tourism and peace. We're trying to find the link between tourism and peace and why this theme is appropriate for this year.
All right, thank you very much. Safety and security is a very important component of the variables that actual tourists and potential tourists take into consideration before they make a decision to go to a destination. So it is important for us to look at tourism beyond the financial benefit that accrue to a particular host destination, to also look at the potential that tourism offers to the world in terms of us getting to know ourselves. So to unpack peace actually in terms of tourism is the togetherness, the understanding that should exist among us as global citizens. That's why peace is a cardinal point, when it comes to tourism offerings. And the point is that if you have to bring it home as well, Ghana, just 2 years ago, was the most peaceful country on mainland Africa, and now we are number 2. The proverbial Guinean conviviality and hospitality is something that is so endearing to all those who come to this country. And I think in a moment ago when I was actually listening to you, you made mention of the fact that we are very peaceful people, we are very hospitable people. And that is something that I call the Ghanaianism, something which is so much part of our definable essentialism, is enduring about us. And it's something that we can actually positively commoditize when it comes to tourism and hospitality offerings.
That's a fantastic point, Prof, you made. But let me find out, is it something we know, one, have we found that this is something that we can commoditize, and have we deployed it well enough within the tourism space globally?
Yes, I mean, when it comes to tourism and hospitality, don't forget that we have been so colonized, that the Gettysburg structure is still the kink in our pipe. We've not been able to come out of it yet. Tourism and hospitality and events is something that is picking up in the country, okay? And with time, you will be able to then see it for what it is worth. But I can tell you for a fact that all the stakeholders, both from the state-owned and the parastatal and the private sector, all of them are now seeing that we have to move beyond the gold, the oil, the things on top of the soil and in the soil. We need to now go into the soul and creativity and innovation of the African to be able to really leapfrog, from the area of delirium to the podium of prosperity, and with tourism being at the forefront of it. And we will get there, and it's something that we are seeing that yes, we can get something out of it. Gradually, we will come out from the tranquilizers of gradualism and do the right things right, and become the stop.
But Prof, if someone were to look at us as a nation over the past few weeks with all this call of galamsey and civil unrest and all that, people being arrested, not bailed and all that, do we look like the kind of people that you have termed Ghanaianness? The Ghanaianness, is it there, or is this some figment of our imagination?
I mean, what is soup? What is soup if there is no ladle to stir it sometimes? Okay, what is soup? When there is no ladle to stir it sometimes. We move as a people because as time moves, we have to be dynamic in it. Okay, we are not just pounds on the board of nature. We make what we have to make. So everything that is happening is part of society, and this thing is about we getting to the best of ourselves. And to me, that is the beautiful thing. We cannot create statues. If you want a statue, you go to the museum. As people breathing oxygen and coming out with the carbon dioxide, we need to be aware that we will differ in our decisions and actions. And just like Kofi Annan said, it is not just about the divisions. It's about having the leadership to be able to work even in the chaos to make sure that what we refer to as the commune banner, the common will always be the overall aspect of it, so that at the end of the day, even in the chaos, we know that we are doing our best to ensure that we have motherland, which is having our back, and we having the back of the motherland.
Okay, well understood, Prof. So I come to the studios. Let me find out from Mr. Setiebo Okran. Let me get to the heart of today's conversation: transforming Ghana via tourism, the role of public and private partnerships. Mr. Okran, first of all, we'll come back to Prof. But I want to find out from you: transforming Ghana via tourism, is that a feasible conversation to have before we go into the role of public and private partnerships? Can tourism truly, genuinely transform this country?
Absolutely. My friend Dr. Aka, the president of Hoteliers Association, and I quote him, said, tourism is a way of living.
Okay.
And I think when a tourist or someone who is a tourist is somebody that visiting another place,
Okay.
definitely that person buy merchandise, food, drinks, stay in the hotel and all that. These leave direct money into the hands of the local or that very community.
Okay.
So, yes, tourism is the way to go. But let me go back a little bit and per the team. If you read our history, prior to independence, we were told 8 Fanti chiefs came together to sign the bond of 1844.
Okay.
And in that bond, give birth to Ghana, because the relationship between those 8 chiefs, of course, they need protection from the British at the time, and coming together, they were able to conquer, and that came about our common law, this and that and that and that. And if those 8 chiefs could look forward, that 100 years from 1844, Ghana should be given self-government, which is independent. So our independence was kind of engineered by these people in the bond. Okay.
So by 1944, we should have been independent.
Yes.
Okay.
It delayed for 13 years. Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is that if 1844, about 100 and something years ago, these chiefs can look forward, because the 6th March and 1957 wasn't a creation of those who got the independence, lead the independence at the time, but they thought about it, okay? And if you look at Ghana is not like Kenya or South Africa that have the wildlife, right? What we have is our culture and heritage.
Okay.
And if you look carefully, our chiefs are the custodians of the culture.
True.
And the chiefs also are the custodians, because Ghana, we only have stew land and the family land, or individuals kind of thing, right? So these chiefs play very, very important role. I think that it is time to start looking at the conversation. How do we collaborate with these chiefs? You mentioned about Galamsey, strike here and there, right? If this chief doesn't allow people into the forest, I don't think that will happen. If you carefully look at Rollins, if I may quote him, said, we take Bible and swear and lie, but nobody can swear with Antoine Yama or Nogokpo and lie. Why is this so? Because that is our soul. We believe in our custodian. We believe in our culture and heritage. And if these chiefs are the custodians, I think it's time we bring them on the table to look at how we preserve these forests, our culture, way of living, and package it and sell it, because that is tourism. It's about packaging. Gone are the days that we talk about Cape Coast Castle. Yes, after Cape Coast Castle, what next? People want to see the culture, the way of living, which come with the food, the dressing, the language, and all that. So I think we should start.
You don't think we've used our chiefs well enough?
Well enough. When it comes to tourism development, there should be deliberate attempts. And every community, look at our festivals. They are so unique by themselves, the North, the South, and all that. How are we leveraging? How are we packaging this? And we can't do this without the chiefs' involvement. All this galamsey that is going on currently, if the chiefs have a central role, I can tell you that it will be a different story altogether. So I think we should really look at how do we bring the chieftaincy institution on the table when it comes to tourism development, and it should be collaboration, like PPP. That is what I think.
The chiefs.
Yes.
The chiefs. Interesting. I mean, it's a take that I'm quiet because it's a take that I haven't. Because I think, yes, they are there. They hold their there best. Tourists come, they take photographs. But what you're calling for, if I get you right, is a more intentional approach, bringing chiefs into the tourism conversation, and how we can package them and use them to push our tourism agenda. Yeah.
When it comes to lands, Ghana, one of the challenges we have is the multiplicity selling of lands and all that. And still the chiefs have a role in here. Some of them, let me give you an example. If you look at the Asante Kingdom, for example, it is well packaged in the way that I'm a practitioner. I send people there all the time. Why? Because it is well packaged.
It's easier for you to...
Easier. Yeah. Why not others? Right? And it's about the understanding and education. If they know the value, what they have, right? How we can together package it and make it a tourism attraction for all, community tourism and all that. So the chiefs have a role to play in all this conversation to really have unique, especially when they come to ecotourism. The world is talking about sustainability and all that, right? Which, again, they play very, very, very important role in that.
Interesting. And that's Mr. Setiebo Okrandi. He's the CEO of Yorks Investment Limited. He's a former president of the Car Rentals Association of Ghana. He's brought in a quite an interesting discussion about developing Ghana via tourism. He said we should use our chiefs. That's an interesting take. Professor Gabriel, Prof, you heard Mr. Okran talking about the chiefs. What is your take on this angle that he's brought into our conversation today? Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Yes, I was asking about the chieftaincy role in tourism development as per the submission by Mr. Seti Yeboah Okran.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting stick. The role.
Hello, Prof. Yeah, we're trying to get Prof back on the call. He's busy, so he couldn't join us in the studios. But don't forget that we are also still expecting Mr. Emmanuel Treku, the CEO and a convener of Intertourism Expo. Yes, Prof. Please, you're back online.
Yes, the land tenant system in a country is some is not always in the hands of the chiefs. We have if you go around the country, we have different land tenant systems. So sometimes the land is in the hands of the landowners. They are landowners. A chief may be there, but he may not have control over a particular site, or a piece of land. So we need to be aware of the nuances of the land tenure system in the country and how the ownership of the land is important in tourism discussions and praxis. One key point we also need to know is that in terms of tourism development, you can have what we refer to in literature as pseudo voices, people who hijack development at the local level, and they create a kind of a similitude of a voice, a communal voice. But at the end of the day, they may be having their own personal interest, which can overshadow that of the actual communal need. So we need to really, as tourism practitioners, be aware of the role that chiefs can play and also be aware of the power dynamics at the local level so that whatever we are trying to achieve at the local level fits the right consensus for tourism development. It is really clear that everywhere you go in the country, there are a lot of cultural offerings that we can put together with the chief's involvement. And at the district level and the municipal level, we have to really look at the type of tourism that we have there and make it as part of our economic transformation. And that the chiefs can really be part of this. Why would the chiefs be part of it? The chiefs, by their custodian powers, have the ability to be able to influence people to act. And when no chief is going to really turn down any development that is going to help the constituents. So if the chiefs and the relevant stakeholders and the majority of the community are aware of what is going to happen in their community, they will back it. Let me give you a palpable example. When the community-based tourism was being started by John Mason in 1996, thereabout in Ghana, they went around the country selecting community-based tourism sites like Wabi, Biema, Tafia Tome, you name it. And in some of the cases, the local people really didn't, the majority didn't know about it because most of these tourism developers really were concentrated with the chiefs and the elders. So by the time the development actually took place, it was a new thing to them. So going forward, if we are going to develop tourism that is going to be sustainable, then we need to be able to create the right consensus for that tourism so that at the end of the day, be able to, if you use what we call the Toursim index in tourism, you realize that issues of
Okay, well understood, Prof. So that's Professor Gabriel Sean. Today on the roundtable is World Tourism Day, transforming Ghana via tourism, role of public and private partnership. So now let's take it one at a time so that our listeners are able to follow this conversation. Let's first start with the very important bit of tourism, which is infrastructure development. What is the situation now, and how can private, public play a role in developing that? Let's start with Mr. Setiebo Okran in the studios.
Okay, thank you. I think that private public partnership, every private sector or every businessman wanted to go into a particular sector, want to see what is in there for.
Okay.
So there should be deliberate attempt. I know that some years back, there was some incentive upon setting up tourism facility. You get some rebate, like a tax holiday for 5 years, 2 years, and all those kind of things. Because some of the areas are quite remote, and so you can see that the concentration is in Accra and only few places. It's not widespread.
Okay.
So I think that government should take a deliberate attempt by giving certain incentives that will be more attractive for the private sector to move into Mole, or to move, we have something in Mole though, but to move into a very remote area. Let me tell you, when you go to waterfalls, the Kufredia, what's the name? Is it Vuti Falls, right?
Okay.
It's a very beautiful attraction.
Okay.
But after seeing all those beautiful attractions, you want a nice restaurant or where you can relax and even spend a day. That is where money is released to the local community. But if you look at most of our attractions, you drive there and you are in the hurry to come back to Accra because of the facilities. So if government can give incentive, that is more attractive. I believe you will see a lot of private sector players moving into and that direction and creating the necessary infrastructure for people to come and enjoy. So I think that will help expand. If you look at from Accra to Kumasi, you find Lindador, and if you stop there, a lot of buses stop.
Exactly.
And we need more such things around. But what is the incentive? It is not easy, from the private sector perspective. So I think government should expand or give some incentive to encourage private sector to go into areas that are not more concentrated,
Okay. Prof, infrastructure development, what is the state now, and how can public-private come together to push the very, very important touristic infrastructure that we need in this country? Fiscal evidence in the process? Okay. Yeah, Mr. Okran.
one particular site. You can go to one particular site. Then after that, what? So, for example, if you go to Kumasi, okay, if you go to Kumasi, you may go to Bonre and see Bonre Township and look at Bonre, the the kente that is done there and all that. The good news is that they are even adding cocoa experience as well, where you can go to the cocoa farm, which is kind of a niche in terms of agri-tourism. Then you go to Kumasi town itself. You can go to Menchia Museum. You can go to the Military Museum at Edum. So all these clusters of experiences are very important for the tourist or the visitor who is going to the place. We can also make mention of, I think he made mention of that at rest stops as well. We have Blendedor on the main Accra, Kumasi highway. There are others there as well, the Paradise also there. If you look at Accra, from Accra to Cape Coast, and as you're aware, in Ghana, there's something referred to as the tourism triangle in Ghana. The tourism triangle in Ghana is Accra to Cape Coast, Kumasi. Okay, these are the hubs, the major hotspots of tourism in the country. And you look at it, and you can only talk more about the rest stop on the Kumasi Highway, Accra Highway. There's nothing much to write, home about when it comes to the other two, sides to the triangle. So these are things that the private sector can look at, because tourism really, in terms of the historical one, is really at Cape Coast. When you are looking at the cultural tourism, you are looking more at, Kumasi. When you look at the in terms of Pan-Africanism, the events and the joy of the night and everything, you're looking more at Accra. Okay, so the onus is on us for all the private sector to look at where they really they are, the business interest is going to be. But there are other things, considerations we need to talk about. What
Hello, Prof. Okay, Prof's line went down. Yes.
for example, clinics,
Okay.
because for can you hear me?
Yes, you're talking about health facilities.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that we need clinics, we need the hotels, accommodations at various levels, not just the 5-star, 4-star. We need various levels of accommodation. We also need road accessibility. It's a big thing. In the raining season, if you are going to some of the tourist sites, it is just so frustrating, really. So we need to tie up with the Ministry of Roads and Highways and get to know some of our very leading tourist sites. At least we need to be able to get some workable roads getting to them places, because if we are serious about tourism, then we need to know that we need to do the right things right by not just looking at one ministry. Ministry of Tourism cannot do it alone. That's one big thing we need to know. Ministry of Tourism is really supposed to work with a lot of other ministries and agencies to make it happen. And you are aware that even when it comes to the ecotourism component of tourism in the country, most of the sites are not under the Ministry of Tourism.
They are not.
Most of the national parks are not under the Ministry of Tourism.
They're under what ministries or the MMDAs?
You can talk about the Forestry Commission, for example. The Forestry Commission
Okay.
has oversight of all the tourism, the nature reservations in the country. Kakum is under them. Mole is under them. Okay, so it is very, very important that anytime you are talking about tourism, even the visa regime, okay, it can't come from tourism. It's got to come from interior, whatever ministry that we need to link up with, the embassies and everything. All the embassies in the
Thank you very much, Prof. We're joined by Mr. Emmanuel Trek, who is the CEO convener of Intertourism Expo. He's joined us in the studios. We're talking infrastructure before you came. So if you can give us a word or so about, we all know that infrastructure is important in tourism. Mr. Okran has touched on it. Prof has also touched on it. What is your take on the state of touristic infrastructure in Ghana and how PPP can play a role in enhancing, expanding, or further developing the infrastructure?
Right, and thank you very much. And let me say a very good morning to all your listeners. This is a critical conversation that we're having here. And then I want to allude to the fact that my brother, Mr. Okran, and what Prof has just mentioned. Tourism infrastructure is one of the key elements in tourism development in every country. And the onus lies on all and sundry, that's public-private partners, to get involved in it. Now, in terms of the tourism assets we have as a country, the ownerships and the drivers are one of the key elements that we need to look at. How are we also looking at the corporate sector being a part of this infrastructure that we are talking about? In time past, one of our conversations in this studio, I did mention about looking at the tourism site as free zone enclaves, where we can bring corporate Ghana into these areas in terms of developing the tourism assets. And these are go-to activities that we need to be pragmatic about in developing the infrastructure that we need to have as a country. Again, in as much as we have limited of that one, our product development also boils down to that. If we're able to develop our product very well, then this also becomes attractive to attract investors in that regard. So these are elements that we need to look at in terms of the infrastructure, starting with this conversation.
So it's a what? A chicken and an egg story? Because the Boti Falls is already there. If I visit Boti Falls and it's evening, where do I sleep?
Yes, so right. Listen, like you said, you see, we have the attractions, but there should be added value, because now there's no place to sleep. Well, we understand. But then what is the harmonization between the hotel and Boti Falls? What is that harmonization between the operators of Boti Falls and the car rental business? So that even when you go there, there's someone telling you, okay, you are here. We are taking you from this falls to this place. These are things that we need to start looking at to bring that kind of infrastructure that we need as a country.
Let me come to Mr. Okran. He's been quiet for a while. How is the coordination like? Because you just brought it in, that if I visit a site, is there not a car rentals association of Ghana? They don't have a rep at Boti to ask people. Because if you went anywhere, drivers are coming to you. If you went to Stanson Junction, they will come. You need a car. Are there car rental association reps at these touristic sites to take us to the nearest place to sleep?
Thank you. So like I said earlier, it seems like everything is concentrated in Accra. Reason being that a private sector or a businessman borrowing from the bank to go and invest in the facility at Boti Falls, he look at how many people will visit there and all, how to make profit returns on his investment. Okay. So that is why their government comes in. I think the Tourism Act established 1% tourism levy and what have you. I think we should take a critical look at that and see how incentives can be given, because the car rental companies, we have almost 213 car rental operators in Ghana.
213?
Yes. But guess what? About 85% of them are in Accra. There's no, because you know why? The national airport is here in Accra. Right?
Okay.
So everybody will land here in Accra before he get to Boti Falls or Tamale, he are making a decision. So I believe we recently, we expanding our international airport like Kumasi and Tamale, that will open up some of these things a little bit. So if a car rental establishment have established in Tamale or Koforidua, he knew that he will get some form of business. So it's to do with the numbers more. So I'm calling for some form of incentive, some tax holiday. The playing field shouldn't be the same. So it will be attractive for the establishment, people to put a nice restaurant at Boti or a car rental, whatever it is, because it's not the same. And I also think that the discussion should be, the PPP should expand to, if you're talking about the service part of it, if the immigration officer at the airport or the custom officer doesn't understand what tourism is all about, okay, the kind of service, the experience you get at the airport, the police officer standing at the junction, stopping the car, you know, the environment is not the same. If America, for example, a police officer stops you, the feeling and everything is different, right? All these little things, the cultural dynamics, the differences of different countries and different people coming. If these people have that understanding, I believe during my tenure as a president, I even called on collaboration with Ghana Police Service for us to have a code that if a police officer stops a tourism or a car rental or a tour bus, he knows that, oh, this is a tourist bus. So the approach should be a little bit different. Shouldn't put fear, panic and fear in the occupants, right? By the approach. Because from where they are coming from, the environment might be different from how we know it here, right? All these little things will go to enhance the experience, the tourism experience in the country. So tourism is interdependent, right? Interior ministries, we talk about the passport, a visa regime, the police, the customs, the trader, the chief, like I said, everyone have to have that understanding that, listen, is to our common interest because we are interdependent. We provide shuttle services for the hotels, for example. We should understand that particular facility, do's and all, the restaurant. So that conversation that all of us, what can we do collectively to attract that one person that would drop the dollar or the city, that all of us can have our. So I think there should be more education, and many people think it is a job of, like the Prof said, Ministry of Tourism alone or Ghana Tourism Authority alone cannot, because it's interdependent, right? Everybody, the role of everyone is so important. So I think from that conversation, and we can improve on the service part. But for investment, I think there should be incentive regime for those who will be interested to invest in the remote areas of our country.
I mean, yeah. I find this conversation fascinating because I have said on this very seat, in this very studio, that I think we don't run this country like a business.
Yeah.
So no manifesto, whatever, it doesn't excite me. Manifesto readings and all that. I'm looking for someone who can convince me that he or she, given the nod, will run this country like a business. Why am I saying that? Assuming what Mr. Okran just said, assuming you are running a company called Ghana, what it means is that you would have frontline staff. Frontline staff are those that interface between the organization and its customers. If Ghana were a country, or you're running it like a country, it means that your police on the road, your immigration guys at the airports, these were going to be your frontline staff. If tourism was that important to you, whereby the visitor is your customer, your external customer, you would have trained your frontliners.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a beautiful lady at our front line here called Beverly, sitting at the reception. She is trained, otherwise she would have been fired.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She is trained, and everybody says nice things about Beverly and all that. Why is it that we are saying, from what he's describing, it's a very disjointed business. If Ghana were a business, it is a very disjointed business. Every department is doing their own thing. I'm going to run around this very one. Has there ever been a conversation, a big enough conversation, where all these players, the frontliners, the back office staff in Ghana, the back office then will be like maybe the
accountants and the
HR.
HR.
HR. So frontliners will be police people, tour guides will be frontliners. Yeah. Has there been a conversation like this where all players came together, sat down and said,
the hospitals.
The hospitals will be frontliners. Yeah. As Mr. Trek would ask, I'll come to you before I go to Prof. Has there ever been that conversation? Because you've been in this industry like 20-something years. Has there ever been a conversation like that where everybody looks at this like a business and say, policeman, you're a frontliner, don't intimidate our people? And has there ever been something like that?
I think the conversation starts from here, just this morning.
We are starting it this morning.
Let's start from here this morning. But the one thing I would say in that regard is from the private sector point of view, in terms of tourism development or promotion in Ghana, you know, by act of government and the administration of tourism in Ghana, we have the private sector wing where we have the Ghana Tourism Federation. That is the umbrella body of all the private sector tourism trade associations in Ghana. One of the objectives was to look at some of these necessary collaborations or harmonizing all the various players into one unit, and then there's going to be interconnection of services where they relate to each other. But then, as we sit here today, I can tell you that we have a disjointed tourism federation. Everybody is doing what he or she would want to do, or what every business wants to do at a given time. Now, the front has been broken. So we don't have a strong private sector that will drive this kind of activity.
Okay.
And this is a big issue for us as a country. Because if the private sector doesn't have a common front, then...
How do they even engage government? They say, come and let's settle.
So where do we go from there? Because you find, yesterday, I saw something that I wasn't happy with. We have players running tourism clubs in schools. We have others running other younger ones in Ghana. Then I find a regulator coming in that say that we are running such an activity. Where is the work of the private sector? And these are the things that we need to start looking at. These are conversations that we need to. How do you now build a strong private sector front? Bring all the players together on that platform. Luckily for us as a country, ours has been established by government. So we just need to have that kind of understanding and collective bargaining in that regard for us to have this direction, and that would be the game changer for tourism in Ghana.
It's an interesting thing. It's exactly 9. Is it 9? Yes, it's 9 a.m. It means we have just 55 minutes to continue this conversation before the 10 a.m. news. Let me go to Prof if he's there with us so that he plays me out this scenario. Prof. Hello, good morning, Prof. Are you still there? Okay, all right. So we'll get back to Prof. But let's move on from infrastructure to marketing and branding. Marketing and branding. And let's start with Intertourism Expo. We've moved from infrastructure, marketing and branding. What is the situation now? How can we do it better via PPP?
It's a big one for us.
Yeah, marketing and branding. Ghana.
Let me first applaud the Ghana Tourism Authority.
Okay.
They are doing their best in terms of using activities to brand the country.
It's true.
Where we've seen the year of return, we've seen the beyond the return, and other marketing campaigns. I think they've been in some tourism travel trade shows that they have engaged in to market the country. But then, coming to destination marketing itself, what is the brand position for Ghana? That's now we should start looking at. What identifies us as a country? India will say we are incredible India. South Africans will say we are this. What is standing out for us? That everybody would start rising to this kind of conversation. If we are saying that we are the center of the world, how have we proven that point, that we can use that as a unique selling point for ourselves? These are elements that we must start looking at. In time past, we had the Brand Ghana office.
Yeah, I recall.
We started some conversation in that regard, but then it has died off. We need to start looking at these elements. These are things that will now bring the basic concept of destination marketing, and the countries will start hearing of us, because we've been known for our football, but then how has it worked for us? We've been known for our warmth. How has it worked for us? We know Ghanaians are peaceful people. People are coming here because of business meetings. Have we changed into that as a marketing status for the destination? These are things that we should start looking at now. Then, again, if the private sector front is strong, they can also pick it as a tool. Because if you have strong, because they are doing business, private sector is doing business, they want to be seen and be heard, so they can attract the kind of needed clientele. So if that angle is also well positioned, any concept that Gavin even raises, they will ride on. I recall when we started with the culture, warmth, and much more, it really worked out. When we said experience Ghana, it worked out. So where are we? We have successful Gavin that has changed this face of the destination. So there's no consistency, and that is what is really challenging our marketing status as a country.
Interesting. Prof. Yes, Prof. We've moved into marketing and branding, and Mr. Treku has asked a very important question. What is the brand position of Ghana? If India says incredible India and all these other slogans that these nations push out there, what is our brand positioning? And if we don't have, as a consultant to the country, if we gave you the consultancy work right now, what would you say should be Ghana's brand positioning, Prof?
We have one. Maybe it is just trying to get it more formidable in the book set of Kenyans and people in abroad. That is the case now. But the brand position is Ghana, center of the world. Okay, that is the big stuff everybody puts out there. Ghana, center of the world. But the point is that along the years, you will see that Ghana gateway to Africa, Ghana the black star, you know. So the I think that the author maybe in this book made mention about the consistency when it comes to brand positioning. It creates brand equity with some level of enduring component, isn't it?
It's true.
Equity, you need to have the brand quality, you need to create loyalty, media awareness, if need be, the association, yada yada. What is happening sometimes when we talk about the brand of a country is that each successive government has a way of trying to say, okay, we will take tourism in this direction, and they change everything and turn it totally away from the roots. And
Mm.
to the truth that must be said, to the things that must be done, and to the energy that we need, that really honors the toil and the blood of our forefathers and our foremothers.
Okay, Prof. That's a very strong take from your end. So, whose job is it to cause us to stay in one direction, center of the world? Who is to champion this thing? Because from what you're saying, it looks like then every 8 years or 4 years, this thing is going to change. Whose job is this, Prof?
You know, the ministry is supposed to be a mother, okay? Then the ministry gives the job to the children. So if I say the children, you can talk about the Ghana Tourism Authority, you can talk about the Ghana Tourism Development Council, you can talk about GNB, the museum, you can talk about NFA, yada yada, okay? So each program or each vision or policy that the ministry has got must be given to the right agency. And sometimes some of the agencies can even come together to make it happen. As of now, because GTA is really championing the agenda of branding and all that, they have the sole responsibility for really making sure that the center of the world caterpillars. And they are not doing too bad, okay? Yeah, through Akwesi and the rest. They are not doing too bad. What I'm saying here, I think, is the point that we have started somewhere with the year of return, beyond the return, and all that. We should, for the love of the motherland, okay, continue in the energy that we have started so that we are able to consolidate our gains. Because this rather, roundabout behavior that we put up since independence of always trying to say, I started this, instead of we did it, is a tendency to our development. Okay?
Yes, Prof.
We would really say that we came together to get this done, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of party, irrespective of religion, you name it. We Ghanaians, we make Ghana. People died, sacrificed for this country. And the least we can do to push this country forward is to honor them with what we call Emporia Pinsankiai. What is in the pot of our conscience. Okay? We do it because we are looking into our conscience to see that this is the right thing to be done for the country. Unless we're able to do that and look in the mirror of conscience and see that this thing we are doing it for Ghana and for the love of Ghana alone, we'll be doing this roundabout phenomenon over and over again to tell ourselves that we are actually doing something in this world that we are not. So in terms of tourism, I know for a fact that we need to move from the productivist paradigm to the post-productivist paradigm where tourism becomes a new force for our economic transformation. These all of us, the private sector together, we have the airline in 1993. There has been a nationwide awareness on this. Everybody who is connected with tourism and wants to be connected with tourism can easily get a copy of it online or go to the offices of GTA and the DTDC, you name it, they can get copies so that they can familiarize themselves with tourism. So tourism is not something that you just jump into. Oh, I go to Amanya, go to hotel and all that. Even whilst we go to go to hotel, there are people out there who can help you to make sure that the infrastructure that you're putting up is in tandem with the offerings that we have in mind. And when we do that, then we're able to delight our customers. Because if we're able to delight them, then we are sure of repeat business, all things being equal. So that is what I'm talking about. If
Okay,
you're
Prof.
talking about all this branding, if you're talking about all these people, you can never get the whole country coming together to think about branding for the country. Okay? The African emancipation is not going to come from one person on one line and we are branding. No. Everybody, wherever they are, must have in their spirit. This goes back to my position. I said that I'm not African because I was born in Africa. Because
Eloquently put, Prof. Thank you so much. But this is something I want to put to my studio guests. They are more in the private partnership. But this discussion tells me that we here are ready for some disappointment, and I'm going to say why. I have just pulled up the two manifestos, that of the NPP and that of the NDC. And for some reason, I'm going to go into the NDC manifesto rather, because NPP, we already know they are in government, so they will continue with what they have. The next NDC government, this is page 67 of the abridged version. The next NDC government will, one, create and promote the Black Star experience as Ghana's flagship culture, arts, and tourism brand to make Ghana a preferred tourism destination. The Black Star experience will undertake a year-round celebration in all the major entertainment, artistic, and educational disciplines. This would include a celebration of the following: the Pan-African Month, celebrating heritage, history, and diaspora engagement; the Ghana Film Festival and Awards Month; Ghana Music World; Culinary Month; Architecture, Design, Arts and Crafts; Fashion and Textiles Month; Literacy, Literary Month. So we're about to go through a totally different ball game. Let me come to the studio. We'll go back to Prof. What is your take on what you just read? It means after December 7th, if this party comes to power, totally different thing. Year of return gone to the, the pages of history. Beyond the return, gone to the pages of history. As a matter of fact, center of the world, gone to the pages of history, because we are going to do Black Star experience. Marketing and branding. Doesn't that worry you? Those of you who are players in the industry. It means after 8 years, year of return, gone. Beyond the return, gone. We should start looking for the Black Star experience. What kind of company is it that changes its logo and slogan every 4 and 8 years? You see why I say we are not running this thing like a business?
Yes, I think that recently, if you look at this Galamsey manners, you see a whole lot of coalition and civil society
a lot of,
coming on board to say enough.
Organized labor.
Enough is enough. I think that is what it should be with certain sectors, like tourism.
Don't touch it. Don't politicize it.
Exactly. Education, tourism shouldn't be touched. There should be Ghana agenda, not political parties agenda. You'll be surprised that the figures, we from the private sector, we look at the figures, and we are in September, heading to October.
Yeah.
By now, December GH is something that has been marketed very well.
December in Ghana. It's not
December in Ghana, but this year is low. Why? Because election is coming. People aren't sure. And exactly, people aren't sure which direction is going. Therefore, everybody is kind of waiting to see which party win December 7 election before start to plan. And this
that'll be too late.
Yes. And this affects everything. Okay? So I think if you look at Nigeria currently, look at their movie industry. It's kind of bringing billions.
Yeah.
Why? It's policy direction. Okay? Private sector can never win if there's no right environment created, led by policy, and that policy is respected. If I know every 4 years, every 8 years, government changes, like we said, we're going to start from all over again, it will be difficult to brand, because branding, you have to be consistent, you have to be intentional, right? Listen, if you walk to any British High Commission on Embassy, great is Britain.
Yeah,
great is that.
Yeah,
that is,
I've seen the great.
Okay.
Great Britain.
Exactly. Yeah. So, center of the world should be in every letterhead. It should be everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but if the NDC wins, we'll do Black Star experience.
Exactly. Then MPP come the next 8 years. We're going to do. Yeah. So is the issue. So I believe civil society, the industry players, and everybody should come together and say enough is enough.
Like the way we are tackling Galamsey.
Exactly.
Yes.
To see that tourism, certain things don't touch it. So from the airport, when you get to the arrival hall, what makes Ghana? It should be something unique.
Welcome to the center of the world.
Welcome to the center of the world.
No, welcome to the Black Star.
Yeah. Right? So I think that we have to be intentional with what we're doing, and we always sometimes tickle ourselves and laugh and say Ghana is doing very well when it comes to democracy. Yeah, we vote very well. We don't fight each other. But democracy for me goes beyond voting, right? The policies put in place, the consistency, make people believe in your economy, make people invest long term. Because if I'm investing and I know that, okay, after 8 years, anything can happen, that is the issue. So I think it goes beyond PPP. Ghana should sit together and say, this is Ghana. It's beyond MPP, NDC. Certain sectors shouldn't be touched between these two people when you come continue, because it is for Ghana.
But come to think of it, if you are an NDC person and you've seen the noise made about the year of return and that it is 10 Ghana around and all that, and you're sitting and you're looking at yourself like the potential next government, it would take some level of maturity and self-confidence for you to say, we'll continue on the return. We'll use the same theme. We might tweak it a bit, but we'll continue the same theme and continue the same center of the world agenda.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you also sit and say, yeah, but if they do this, so then they were good. Why are we asking them to be kicked out? They are not good. Let's come with our own brand.
That is understanding. You see, this is the mind. Everything starts and ends by how you look at your world, okay? It is Ghana. And can we say that everything that MPP is doing is wrong? No. Can we say that everything that NDC did is wrong? No. You might be strong in certain areas and weak. So the good things, we should be proud and acknowledge it. And that is a mark of a leadership, right? Acknowledge if it is good. So that we are not being consistent, we are not building on anything is a challenge, you know.
Interesting. Mr. Treku, you're just laughing. You've not said anything about the Black Star experience. You should be expecting a Black Star experience if it happens. Okay, so we've touched on infrastructure. It is clear when we came to marketing and branding that the inconsistency is one of our biggest wins. Let's move to another area. Training and capacity building within the tourism space. The public and private partnerships. And before any of you comes in, let me read a text that I've just received. And be based on the scenario I give, that if Ghana is a country, then frontliners, if it's a company, frontliners, blah, blah, blah. Somebody has said, they sent this to me. Taxi drivers are part of the frontliners.
Yeah.
They usually are the first to meet foreigners and tourists. A taxi driver who picked me from Dubai airport had so much information about Ghanaians in that country. Can we be deliberate about pushing a positive mindset into these frontliners so they sell Ghana better? Somebody just sent that to me. You can also do so. 0544 321019. 0544 321019. Send me a message via WhatsApp like somebody just did, and then I would read, and then the big men around the table will give an answer to it. So training and development, capacity building. What is the state? How does PPP come in? Then we'll go to the professor who is also been training.
Thank you once again. Yes, a lot has been done in that regard, I must confess, in terms of training and capacity building. But one key area that I find challenging in our training is industry-specific training. Let me speak customer service.
Okay.
That we have done across board. These are theme activities that are targeted to specific people.
Okay.
Training. If we do generic customer service training for everybody in the tourism industry, trust me, it's a failure. I say this because if you look at the service culture, let's speak for the bartending. You must have knowledge of service and drinks in the bar area. If you look at the car rental business, you must understand right from how to even start booking your vehicle, the processes, the do's and don'ts. You must even understand your route. These are key service elements in terms of capacity building that we need to train our people in. And this is where the gaps are in terms of our training, capacity building that we have. Again, base of pyramid training, because we've seen the industry as a place for school dropouts. Everybody wake up and say, I can be a practitioner in the industry. But hey, tourism is very technical. And how do you now look at the base of pyramid training for those who are coming in? We have a lot who has gone through the tertiary, the universities, professors and like. But then, if you look at the entire industry, those who are working are in that space. So now, what kind of cross training are we having with for them? And these are things that I feel that we should look at an addendum to what we are doing, and that will change the minds of the capacities we are giving to the people. Now, again, today we are in a technological world. Digital has become the face of everything we do. Fintech is part of it, and other elements. Now, how are we bringing those to bear? If you look at the media space today, now everybody wants to have a bit of activities on their platforms. How have we bring that into tourism space? Once these things are done, then you know that, okay, at a media house, you have an element of tourism in your space. So that marketing or that we are talking about goes into it. And now, how does the players also understand how to use tech to market their businesses? So these are areas that capacity has to be looked at in terms of now. Now the world is also moving on service quality. Service quality training is another aspect that, in fact, there's a strong gap in there. So we need to also look at this area. So a lot has been done, but we need to refine and look at the current trends and what the world is looking for us to adapt in terms of our training capacity building for our destination.
Thank you so much, Mr. Treku. Prof, please, are you still with us? Great. Prof, we've moved into training and capacity building. What is it like training people to come into this very, very important industry currently? And what can we do better? And the role of PMP, PPPs in this as well. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Prof. As always, it's always an exciting experience listening to you. It's just gone 9:30, and I'm told you have to run into a meeting, so you will take leave of us. But are there any final words you want to leave us with before we come into the studio and continue the conversation? Thank you very much. That's him, Professor Gabriel Sean, tourism and hospitality expert. As always, great conversation with him. Deep insights into the space. So we're back into the studios. Mr. Seth Yeboah-Ocran is the CEO of Yorks Investment, and he's also the former president of the Car Rental Association of Ghana. And then Mr. Emmanuel Treku is the CEO and convener of Intertourism Expo, which ended not too long ago. Let's move into another space of the discussion: sustainability and ecotourism. What is it, and why is it a big deal these days? And how can PPP come into this space as well? Sustainability and ecotourism. Yes, Mr. Okra.
Let me touch quickly on the training bit.
Okay, before,
right?
thank you very much.
Yes,
thank you very
yes.
much.
I think that, and when you look at the question I asked, when you look at Ghana Bar Association, it's an association.
Yes.
Right? But why is it that? Is it mandatory before you practice? You take certain courses and they admit you, right?
Yeah.
Midwife and nursing, and you can talk about few.
Yeah.
Right? But when they come to
architects,
yes, when they come to tourism, they say freedom. Our constitution said freedom of association. So we have mushroom individuals that have no clue. If I talk about the car rental industry, 213, only 80 have registered with Ghana Tourism Authority that are regulated. Okay. So,
oh wow.
Yes. Yes. And you have same with hotels. They are facing the same challenge. And it's becoming difficult to regulate Airbnb. The point I'm trying to make here is that in order to get consistency, service excellence, we have to be intentional by creating that space, that environment that upon setting up a tourism facility doesn't qualify you to run it. Upon buying a vehicle doesn't make you a car rental operator. You have to take certain courses. And every year, given a code or a license, you have to be reviewed. So we can have kind of peer review in the sector, right? Because let me say this, at my company, Yorks, I struggle to get qualified or good, what I call drivers. I call them operational assistant.
Okay.
We have a mentality that if you are a driver, then you are a school dropout or whatever. Remember that we have what we call Graduate Unemployment Association, right? Guess what? We're trying to promote tourism. And just imagine that training somebody that have first degree, right, within the tourism space, and someone that zero, which one can you go faster? So if we can change the mindset about the industry, that is the way to go. Tourism for me is an industry or sector that will transform Ghana, not gold, cocoa, and all this kind of what we're talking about. So they can come into the sector, right, and drive, because I said that driving, you are using the car as a tool. But if you go to South Africa, a taxi driver will tell you everything about the country, from the airport to wherever you are going. Why not the same here? So we are not attracting. So there's a gap between academia and the industry, right? We can only bridge that gap by regulating, making sure that before you provide either restaurant, car rental, hotel, you have to go through form of training. That by itself will create a business opportunity for someone to build a training facility. In Ghana, we don't have a training facility. We have to send our people to Dubai or South Africa to train them to come and be front office managers and stuff like that. There's nothing.
Are you serious?
Hotcast is not running. Let me put it
Prof
brandly.
said Hotcast.
It's there, it's by name, but it's not running, right? So
Wait. What do you mean it's not running? There courses are not going on there.
I should be able, as a company, let me say this, as a company, if I want drivers, to go
15 drivers.
I should go to Hotcast, for example, and they provide, because they are trained for that. You have mushroom agencies that they are training people. They get it for you, and my brother, it's amazing. They have no clue about what tourism is all about. They have no clue about Accra or Ghana as a product, okay? Exactly. And the challenge is that the burden on private sector is that you pick them raw, you spend a lot of money training them. Our law says that anyone you can choose to work for you or not. After the training, they left. So it becomes burden on industry players. Wow. But if the state or if there's an institution, that job is that before I hire you, you have to have a certificate from that institution, and everybody goes through there. Before, you have labor commission, that if you want workers, you can go to labor commission and they get you what you want, right? Similar thing, but not that. But train people. So when I pick them out, I only give them training pertaining to my job.
Yeah.
You
run them through maybe your mission.
Exactly.
But they are
trained drivers. There's none.
Listening to Mr. Okran, all of a sudden I'm thinking, then we really don't have a job challenge in this country. The jobs are there,
but we don't get in the right fit. We don't have I'm telling you, it's a headache. It's headache. And you know what happens when you train them and then they are poached? Others will poach them. So you keep training and it costs a lot of money to do that. So if we can look at the policy again, that, listen, there should be you should get this certification that will interest somebody to invest in training facilities, right? Because you know that everybody will go through. There is a business opportunity for another person.
What you're
that
saying
is where the
PPP
comes in, right? So before I hire you, and if you know you misbehave, they will take up your license. You behave, you know.
Yeah, you will.
You will perform very well. But there's no pressure on any work. You go to some restaurant and it's like, or you walk to a shop or whatever, they are playing with their phones. There's nothing. They lose nothing, right? You, the investor, I have a lot to lose. So I think that upon creating up a policy and working within, like the Bar Association, before you become a lawyer, you can't practice if you don't go through them. Why?
They will arrest you.
Yeah, thank you. So why is it? So why is it that when it comes to the tourism sector, so that will empower the various associations, right? Because they will make sure that you kind of follow this kind of regulation. So you can realize that the associations are weak because everybody is doing whatever they have to do. So I think there should be clear policy on that. And you can invest in proper training facilities, how to set up waitress, drivers, all the front line. And even the police going to the airport, certain areas, the borders, have to go through and have that basic training. Because you can be a good lawyer, but you are not a good administrator to run your law firm as an institution, you know. So I think this will help address some of these customer service gaps that we have, you know.
That's a big call, eh?
Yeah, it is. In summary, I think.
Yeah.
We need the tourism charter. A charter
that
guides recruitment and the work process. And these are elements that we can't go without it.
Because what he said to me is, this thing is made, this statement, that one, we have unemployed graduate association. He is looking for people of that caliber to train as drivers, but no, they won't. They want to work in the bank. They want to work in the telcos and the oil and gas. Meanwhile, the job is there. So there are certain group of people saying there are no jobs, but there are jobs. And we cannot match the
It's
two.
a mindset.
It's a mindset. Wow,
It's
that
a
is number
mindset.
one. And then number two is the fact that anybody else can come in and go out and come in and go out and nobody cares.
Yeah. But there's a strong charter.
A charter.
Do you know the direction?
But are we saying that there is no mother entity that regulates this industry?
It's GTA.
It's a tourism authority that regulates it.
So why haven't they whipped everybody in line to toe one line?
You see, there should be a consensus built. Like I said earlier, from the private sector point of view, the front is broken. If we have a collective bargain, we can say this is what we want as leaders or as practitioners, but the leadership of that angle. Then we can now sync with government and say, okay, regulator, this is what we want. How do you position it for us? Then those who we are employing, it will work in that regard. But then if there's that kind of divided front, how do you sync into this kind of activity? Because before you even have a charter, there should be a consensus building from who are employing, who is regulating, and then we have a common cause. So we need to have a holistic approach to tourism management in this country.
Hey, we need to run this country like a business. So we are not doing that at all. We're not touching it at all. And it's so haphazardly done that you look at it and what is next? Because I'm looking at these two manifestos side by side, and we have issues. We have issues as a country. Sustainability and ecotourism. What is it?
Well, we are celebrating World Tourism Day.
Yeah,
we're talking about tourism and peace. And I will pick it from the private sector point of view.
Okay.
In terms of sustainability, where if you talk about peace and industry, we need to have a holistic approach in working. We have one mind and collective bargaining position where we are working together as a grouping. Not you have other entity working on the side, others backbiting, others going for one business and then leave the others. But then as we celebrate this day, and then from the statement from the World Tourism Organization and its leadership, we need to have a collaborative approach, because if we do that, that's going to harness communities that will bring them to bear. Then that will instill the kind of peace that we are looking for as a country. Now, if we look at the ecotourism space, that has to do with the rural communities. Now, it has to do with our cultural diversities that we have. The cultural diversities are the ethnicities that are within the space. How are this impacting them? Are we working to bring to bear what they have to see as a community? Now look at the community-based approach to tourism. That's where ecotourism comes in. So our activities, like my brother said earlier, everything centered in Accra. How do you go back into communities? What are incentives that will drive us to go into those communities that to bring that ecosystem that we want to feel? Again, our personal mindset towards the communities. What do we live there? What are the footprints? Do we go in there to do business that will derail the minds of the people, or to, let me use the word, to cheat them?
Okay.
How are we bringing these people also on board in terms of our businesses? These are elements that we should start looking at in terms of sustainability tailored to our country and not to what the world is saying.
Interesting. we have about 10 minutes to go. Yes, innovation and technology is something that everyone is talking about these days. New tech, new tech, new tech. And if you look at the two manifestos, let me read something talking of one of them, the one on the left side. Roll out, implement an e-visa policy for all international visitors to Ghana to make visa acquisition fast and convenient for visitors. Roll out a visa-free policy. Okay, that one has been sorted out. Establish in partnership with the private sector a streaming and digital management platform for Ghanaian content developers in the creative space. So yes, tech is playing a big role here. Let me look on the right-hand side. Let me see if I see a tech conversation here under tourism. Partner with the private sector to build an ultra-modern recreation village with auditoriums for films, musical concerts. Okay, that's not too tech-heavy. Let me look for a tech-heavy thing here. Okay. Support young digital content creators in developing content that promotes Ghanaian culture. It ties in with this one that says, establish in partnership with the private sector a streaming and digital management platform for Ghanaian content developers in the creative. So both are talking tech and all that. What do you make of these two manifestos?
I say from the point of digital tourism. But again, if you look at the fundamental, partly the private sector, now these content creators themselves don't understand what tourism has to offer. So that's where the gap is. So if they are coming to our space, what language are they speaking? Because how do you package a tour? How do you package tourism if you understand what it has to offer? So again, we will try to do all these things and we will run around it. It will not bring an impact into the tourism space, because how now do you have a consensus building, train people within the industry into digital space? If you recall my earlier statement, I mentioned in the capacity building aspect, where we need to look at the digital aspect of tourism, how we need to train our people to be, conversant with the industry and how to use in its applications. So you've seen these two manifestos. Yes, it has been said, but then if you come to practice and application, I'm sorry, it's a no-go area.
Yeah. Yes, so I perfectly agree with my brother. Tech by itself is not a product, it's an enabler.
Exactly.
So you should have something which you are using tech
to enable.
Exactly. So you should understand the content, you should understand the culture. And it goes back to, I think that there should be a national conversation on tourism and hospitality as to where do we want to go with it. And you go with branding, you go with policies about training, about all that. One sector cannot take it and develop it. It is a collaborative effort. If you look at the environment, for example, I speak earlier about even the mayors of our cities. What is their role or what is their understanding in hospitality and tourism? Because you are the landlord of the city. And we're talking about MICE recently, MICE and all those kind of things. If the people visit your city, the proximity or where a facility or hotel is situated, and all these things, we should be intentional and plan it. So everything flows, not reactional. We react to the thing. So I think there should be a national conversation, and let me applaud Ministry of Tourism and Ghana Tourism Authority with the initiative of PPP. I think a few forums and things have been, and trying to conscientize people. But I think there should be serious national conversation about tourism, and we can all understand the product Ghana and how do we market it. The media can be left out. You see some of the media houses showing Mexicans soap operas instead of discussing Ghana. So yeah.
I mean, the more we talk about tourism and its potential to transform this country, the more it looks like we have a lot of work to do, as if we really don't know what we're doing as a people. You two being in the private sector in this space all these years, we have just 5 minutes to go. So when I begin to ask questions like that, it means I'm wrapping up. Do you sincerely have hope that one day we can transform Ghana via tourism? And you have said not the gold, not the oil, but tourism. Do you sincerely, as a player in the field, believe this would happen?
Yes.
Not 100 years from today.
No.
Oh, it's doable and very possible. Can
Mhm.
do the
What should happen for
time
it to
frame.
happen?
Let's begin to take the simple things that we have serious.
Like what?
Tourism is all around us. Every region has a diverse attraction. Let's begin to believe in them. Bring the right practitioners in place. In time past, most of our leadership in tourism are not tourism experts. Now there's going to be an application. We need to have people who are well versed in the area to change the mindset of tourism business in Ghana. Again, tourism finances as a country is low. I keep saying the lowest budgets for our country, tourism and sports, has the lowest budgets. And how do you drive the fortunes of this country with tourism if we are not investing into it? So these are things that we need to, like he said, we should be intentional about it, give the right resources into it, bring the right persons into it, and then be consistent about what we want to do to get it done as a country.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think, yes, I agree with what Emmanuel said. We should get the right people at the right place. And earlier on, I mentioned our chieftaincy institutions. I think they are very, very, very key component in all this conversation. And not only them, but everyone. The country should think tourism. The country should think that one person visiting, the ripple effect or the affect everyone. The hotels get something, restaurant get something, the police, visa, everything, right? So how do we get that person to Ghana? And how do we make that person feel like a king or a queen? If all of us, and it's a mindset thing. Others think, we are not in the tourism sector. But don't forget that if a tourist comes here and you find the country attractive, he may want to invest, banks comes in, he will wire money and he go through the banks, right? They also benefit. And
the telcos.
There's a whole lot. So if collectively all of us can think tourism and see how do we develop it together, I think the country will go a long way. So again, like I said, there should be a constant conversation around it. And like you were doing, and let me applaud your studio, and discussing it is a way to go. I have hope that within the next 5 years or 6 years, yes, we will get somewhere. We are making progress, but I think it's slow. There is some progress being made, but it's slow. And once we are having the conversation in our schools and our, I know Tourism Society of Ghana is setting up tourism clubs in all the schools and letting them.
There is a Tourism Society of Ghana.
Tourism Society of Ghana, yes. Setting up tourism clubs in all the schools and all that. So we are educating the children about our culture and history and all that is the way to go. So I'm very positive that very soon Ghana will talk like GTA said, wear Ghana, eat Ghana, drink Ghana, dance Ghana, feel Ghana, you right? The brand. So I think we are I'm very hopeful that we are gradually getting there. We can move a bit faster than we are doing though. Yeah.
Is there a next generation of Seto Krantz and Emmanuel Trekus coming in through the tourism space?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, a lot.
We are not complacent in what we do. There are a lot of generational thinkers in this
Yeah.
industry.
Okay.
And that we must open it to all. Like we keep saying, let's now begin to work with everybody in the industry. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about everybody. Tourism is for all. That's where Ghana will be if we look at tourism as a beacon and a hope for our growth and economy.
Interesting. It's been a big discussion. There's absolutely no way we could have finished this discussion today. I have so many other things I wanted to bring up. community development, and the rest. But it's time. It's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Coming up at 10 a.m. is the news, and then right after that comes Mid-Morning's Finest. Her name is NYA, the brand. The show is The Brighter Side. We've been talking tourism on World Tourism Day, transforming Ghana via tourism, the role of public and private partnerships. Think tourism, and let's have a national conversation around tourism. Let's begin to look at ways by which we can license those that operate within the space. And then, like Mr. Treku added, we must all work together. It's not about one person, it's not about one industry, it's not about one sector. All too soon, Z in the Morning is wrapping up for the whole week. My name is Jerry Hum. As always, let me leave you with that one last statement before we go. Please, whatever you do, pray like it only depends on God. But when you work like it only depends on you. Have a good one. We'll be back next week.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.